Hello, 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 and welcome back, Security Rock Stars. Here we go, here we go. Whether you're here for the wisdom, the witty banter, or just hoping I mess up that slide clicker once again, you've made it. And trust me, this is the episode to catch. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful upgrades to cybersecurity training since, don't click that, became a workplace mantra. Custom phishing is here, finally, that's right. No more one size fits nobody spam test. We're talking about phishing simulations tailored to your people, your risk, and your reality. Because if training isn't relevant, it isn't remembered. We've got smart tips, a live demo, a juicy nerd update, and oh yes, a horror story that'll have you double check your inbox before lunchtime even hits. Oh, I guess it is 12:30. It is lunchtime. Checking it real soon. So grab your beverage of choice, power up your brain, and let's make cybersecurity training a little smarter, a lot more fun, and totally memorable. Let's hoot up and dive in. Okay, welcome aboard, folks. Buckle your seatbelts and silence your flip phones because today's episode is about to take off. And yeah, I said flip phones. Little joke there. Here's what's on the radar. First, our 5-minute rant. Custom Phish smarter test. Why settle for generic spam when you can build phish that actually means something to your team? We're talking relevance, content, and confidence with a side of sass. Then our CyberHoot nerd update. So what's new in the nest? We've been busy behind the scenes, squashing bugs, adding firepower, and rolling out new tools that make training smoother, smarter, and maybe 12% more fun. So in short, as we're taking names and kicking ass, or vice versa, however that works, we've been killing it. Next, our open mic Q&A. Ask me about my fish, right? So you got questions, got concerns. How about a burning desire to share a fishing pun? Make it happen. This is your moment. If the chat's quiet, don't worry. Of course, I've got some juicy ones ready to go. Lastly, our Hoot with a Horror story. The $19 million spoof. Yep, you heard that right. One email, $19 million. This tells a management company a real looking invoice, and just enough surprise and suspense to make your palms sweat. So grab your coffee, clutch your mouse, and let's dive into another episode of cybersecurity that doesn't suck. All right, let's fly. Okay, let's be real. Your team's threats aren't one size fits all. A generic FedEx delivery failure email might raise 0 eyebrows in your finance department. But what about a spoofed vendor invoice? That'll cause a clicky panic. That's why custom phishing matters. You know your business, your people, and the kind of attacks that actually land in your inbox. So your training should reflect that. Personalized phish tests help employees recognize what they're most likely to face, not what a random template thinks they might see. So little bonus here, right? Studies show, check this out. Studies show that tailored training improves retention by up to 75%. 7-5, right? Not 6-7, 7-5. Why? Because relevance equals results. And listen, no shade to the generic phish. They're still great for baseline awareness. But custom phishing, ooh, we're raising the bar. That's where habits meet contests. That's where real defenses are built. Because at the end of the day, it's your org, your threats. So let's make it your training. Here's the deal. When your phishing simulations look like your real emails, magic happens. Now, and note this is not about catching people off guard. We're not trying to trick and fool and do all that nasty negative reinforcement stuff. This is about training their brains to actually recognize danger in the wild. Anyone can click when when they're tired, when they're busy, or they're hungry for that fake DoorDash coupon, right? But if that test looks and feels like your real world, your vendors, your style, your real workflows, that's when lessons stick. Because relevance builds recognition. Recognition builds confidence, and confidence stops clicks. Okay, so now instead of that random urgent password reset email, your team's getting hit with something they've actually seen before. This time they know what to do, right? It's not fear-based, it's habit-based. And when you tailor your phish test to your industry, your risk profile, and your team, you're not just testing, you're preparing. And preparation, that's the ultimate power move. So, all right, Owls, it's demo time, right? Got a little demo for you. So far, we've talked about the why. Now let's show the how. Let's walk through our very own phishing simulation. Not some dusty template from 2014, but a real-world relevant test tailored to a team's threats, right? You'll see just how fast and flexible it is to create a believable, but say Phish. Assign it to your team or specific groups if you want to, and automatically follow it with a training based on how they do. No guilt trips required. This is cybersecurity training that speaks your team's language, whether that's vendor invoices, client spoofing, or crawl from accounting accidentally clicking on free cruise offers again. Let's dive in and build something that makes your inbox smarter, one click at a time. It's demo time. So I'm going to add my screen here. Let me add this. Add to the screen. Hopefully you can see this. I'm sure you can. So let's hop into this demo real quickly. So custom Phish. Custom Phish are custom hoots. So we're going to go underneath custom hoots here. You'll notice on the right-hand side here, we've got custom Phish library. That's where we're going to start. So in here, I've already created a couple here, an Apple one and an AWS cloud-based one. So you can kind of create Phish here. Now, I'm going to be lazy and save myself some time. I'm sure you don't want me to spend 10 to 15 minutes with me just doing a little bit of configuration for this Phish test. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to go ahead and show you one that I created this morning and kind of walk you through this setup. Now, note here at the very top, copyright notice. Please ensure this template does not include copyrighted or proprietary content, such as the logos and the branding and there all those different pieces that maybe the vendor come after you, like let's say you're doing an Amazon one and you're putting Amazon's logos and colors and stuff, or if it's Microsoft, you put Microsoft logos and all their fonts and all that stuff on there. If you're doing all that work, they will come after you with legal paper. So what they would do is in our platform, they're coming after us, and I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to hot potato that right down to you. It's just going to go right to you. Not us. We're going to take it down, but we're going to hand it right to you, and you can handle that. All right. So be very, very, very careful. We're going to give this a name first. So I was thinking about this morning, like, all right, a lot of people use AWS, right? So let's talk about some AWS Cloud Account Security and Billing, right? So I created one called AWS Cloud Account Security. I made it active, which means it's available on the platform to assign out. I gave a little description here, real short and sweet. I give the category tag of cloud computing because that's what it is, AWS Cloud Computing. Now, attack Phish settings. Now, at first, this is going to be turned off. So when you're building this, what you're really building is a HootPhish, our patent-pending walkthrough positive reinforcement security awareness hosted email training. Was that enough explanations in there? Like, what do they call them? Enough adjectives? What it is? Boom, 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 boom. I hope so. So I got a little bit winded saying it. Okay, so what will happen here is you take the enable attack Phish and you say, I want to make this not only a HootPhish that I can actually assign it, I want to make it an attack Phish as well. So you enable that attack Phish. Now, when you do that, it's going to ask you a landing page. So if your users click on a link or something in the attack Phish that we send out to them in their inbox, then they're landing on a landing page. Now, we have a few in here. Now, this is a difficult one because it's hard to make all the different ones that don't infringe upon copyright but look like the vendor. But we did our best with a few like Microsoft, Netflix, Hulu, and HBO Max. But I would just recommend most of the time just use the default template. And what you do with the default template, it gives them a generic kind of login, and it applies the colors. It gives it like, the vendor name here that's going to put on the page, and then it'll give the colors. Now, I recommend you put the colors in there similar to the vendors, right? To whoever you're doing this for. Now, a short login message. This is the message that kind of shows up when, hey, you see the login there. It says, hey, log in to access your account. That's what I put here. Access your AWS account. So there'll be a little message there above the login. And then the sending domain. We have a bunch of sending domains to choose from. You can see here. This is a cloud one, and we're doing a notification. So we could. So I chose this notifications one because we're sending a notification out from the system. And then the from name. This is where in the email it says, hey, we did an email, and up top it says, hey, Chuck Taylor, and then it has little brackets. As you hover over, it says chuck@cyberhoot.com. Well, this is going to say cloud account security, and then you see over in the side here, as you see right there, at notificationshub.net. So you can see how we kind of put this in play and how it actually works, right? So now that is your attack Phish. You're creating an attack Phish as well. Now, once you do this, now you're going to set your identifiers. This is where the real magic happens. Now, there's instructions here. The instructions say define both a safe and a suspicious example for each identifier with an optional explanation for each. So what will happen is you can hover over each one of these identifiers to see kind of what this identifier is, purpose of it is, some instructions, et cetera, and how it works. We do deal with 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 identifiers you can play with and make part of your email. So I'm going to say the sender for a safe is going to be cloud account security. I'm going to say no-reply, that's AWS at Amazon.com. Because guess what? That is their real email address. This is a real one you'll get. I've seen one of these. So this is a safe one. It kind of tells you here, it's an explanation. At the end when we walk them through the final, we go, hey, this was right because this is truly their domain. That's what you see here, right? Now, we also want to create a suspicious one. The suspicious one means you can put kind of the same name in there, like cloud account security, but look what I did here. Alerts at Amazon.com. But nope. If you look a little bit closer and zoom in a little for you, look at that. That's an R and an N, not an M, right? So I typo squatted that domain to an R and an N to make Amazon, to make it look that way. So, and then I gave an explanation here that says, hey, the M in Amazon has been replaced with an R and an N. So it's just really typo squatting the domain. There's an explanation at the very end of the test, right? Down to the subject, billing anomaly, just information, nothing wrong with that, right? It's not trying to exploit urgency or anything. So I put in my little description here for the answers at the end. And then look at this one here, billing anomaly. Investigate immediately. I'm putting some urgency in now, right? I'm making them say, hey, look, this is going to create some fake urgency for you. We're going to try to coerce them into responding quickly, right? So you can kind of see my explanation there. Now, down to our greeting. You notice here that the safe greeting, we have hi, username. There's a bunch of different variables that you can actually put in. We know the username of every employee you put into the platform. So we're going to say here, hi, username. This is how this is going to work. And then what will happen is, if this is a good indicator, it's going to say, hi, Chuck, hi, John, hi, Joe, right? Your name, or hi, Sally. And then we say, hey, this is a good greeting at the end. You're safe. Now, if I do something different, like a suspicious one, high valued Amazon customer. Now, when using generic greetings like this, it's kind of suspicious. Now, don't get me wrong. I actually looked at an Amazon email this morning that said, hey, valued customer. It said, hey, AWS user or something like that. It didn't use my name. So I was like, is that really one? But it was from Amazon. But just be mindful of that. Sometimes you will get those kind of things. But generic greetings overall are definitely suspicious, right? Now, spelling, punctuation, and grammar. This is an indicator that we believe it's getting less likely with AI nowadays, who can take care of all the grammar and spelling and punctuation issues for you. But for now, we're still leveraging this indicator until we can kind of optimize it a bit or replace it with something more valuable in the AI world. So we've been having talks about that. So he says here, this email confirms that your latest billing statement for this one was the following charge. And I put some breaks in here to kind of space it out a little bit. But you can kind of see here that this is a standard kind of thing, no big deal, right? This is a safe one. There's no spelling or punctuation grammars. But you come over to this one here, this email confirms that your latest billing, oh, look, there's an L missing, the billing statement for the account. There's missing C there. 1, 2, 3, 4, website, due to large amounts of traffic to your services. That's funny because it's hard to see that a little bit. Traffic's missing an F, the R and the V are mixed up, yada, yada. So you can kind of see what's happening there. And we tell them a number of words here are misspelled, like account, traffic, services, along with a number of missing commas. That was one run-on sentence, like, how fast I talked? That's what that sentence looks like. Sorry, I'll try to slow the talking down. And a good email should have commas in there. So I'll try to put some commas in my my speed talking. Now, urgency. This is where you actually say, how urgent is this? For this one, this just says, hey, the correct ending this is going to be charged as default payment amount. We will automatically charge the total amount due shown above for your credit card. That's a standard message. There's no surprises. There's nothing urgent about it. It's just giving you some information. Now, let's look over at this one here. Ended off with, up here, ended off with, this is what you're going to be paying. $10,770.15. That's like $9,000 more than what was going to happen there. Uh-oh, now I'm worried. And it says, oh, look, this is cool, though. They're willing to provide a 50% off of the amount if I immediately pay. So that would be my total bill is going to be $5,385.07 versus the $10,170 some dollars, whatever it was, right? So it's trying to say, hey, if you do this now, and listen, failure to pay by a close of business day will result in a full charge of $10,770 to my account. Uh-oh, not good. That's urgency. That's fake. That's trying to come at me. Will result in full. So you kind of see my explanation here that will be shown at to the user at the end. And then down here to the link, the payment link. Of course, I want to put a payment link in there. This is Amazon's true website. You can go there and pay. I kind of put that there. But over here, we got the fake one, right? This is a suspicious one. Pay-AWS at Amazon. Oh, Arnazon. There's RN again, .com. And we tell them here that, boom, we replaced RN, the pay now, induces some more stress and urgency, right? Boom. And attachment, I didn't really put an attachment on this one. I didn't see a need to add an attachment, so don't have to use that. So then I go down next, the email body. This is where I would actually craft my email. So it says here you can leverage the actual here cube here to add in different variables into the platform, the different ones from up top there, like the greeting, the spelling, etc. So I can kind of just click in here and say, all right, I'm going to add a greeting right there. And I did this already, so I'll kind of show you what it looks like. Does that, And I just kind of put the grading in there, the spelling, the urgency, and I put some standard language down here. Now this is HTML. You can flip over to the HTML side of the house and see stuff there and tweak that if you want to. But you might just want to stay here. Now you can also look at all your variables. Oop, let's see. Oh, that actually isn't doing anything. My variables aren't popping up. Might have looked at that one. Might be a little tiny thing we have to tweak. Let's preview the safe one. So the safe email. Check it out. Client. Cloud security, billing anomaly to here. Hi, John Doe. There's no name on this sample. That's why it's just saying John Doe like that. This email confirms that your latest billing statement for this. You see, this is actually all the safe indicators, right? Looks pretty decent. Looks okay to me. Let's say if there's no bad indicators, this is good. Now let's look at the suspicious one. All right, investigate immediately, right? High valued Amazon customer. This email confirms that your latest billing statement, and then this is available for an AWS website. Oh, that comma, no space there. Due to large amounts of traffic to your services, those are misspellings we were doing before. And then there's your amount that's gonna be billing, right? And we're willing to provide a 50% off for this. You can kind of see the amount. You kind of see how it all comes in. And then of course, we got the pay now there, and that pay now is the bad link. And you can kind of see how that works. So now you've got this, you would hit this save button, or you would hit create, that would actually create your phishing test. Now, your custom one. So now you have this one. It's in your library. This is your general library. It's active. It's good to go. Now, one thing that I forgot to kind of show you guys here, when you get to the bottom of this, there's actually a spot. I'm just going to jump through with some garbage real fast. I kind of want to show you here that you have the ability as well to submit this to the CyberHoot library. What will happen is if you check this box when you go to hit the create, what will happen is it will send a notification to our support team. They'll review what you just created, and if it's a really good one and they like it, they'll add it to our overall CyberHoot library and make that training available, or that test and training available to in our custom library, right, in our training library. So if you want to, if something bad, now we might tweak it a little bit if something's a little off or something's not quite right or doesn't meet a standard, but overall, submit that, we'll review it, and hopefully add it to our library. Now, once you've got it added to your library, super, super simple. You can, of course, simulate. Like anything that you can simulate, and this simulate will do the actual HootPhish simulation. So you can kind of see here, we've got, oh, there's that Amazon.com, that's suspicious. Investigate immediately. That's suspicious. High test. I'm a test user in the simulation. That's actually a safe one. You can kind of see we go through each one of them. I'm just going to go through real fast. I'm not going to submit it or anything. Just kind of show you. See there, Amazon.com. That's bad. So you can see here's our simulated HootPhish. Now, you can also, if you wanted to, come back here and say, send this out as a test attack fish. If you send that out as a test attack fish, you're going to select that one, put in the email address you want to send it to, chuck@cyberhoot.com. You send that out there. Of course, you have you're sending your phishing instruction. You send the attack fish and try it out, see what it looks like in your actual inbox. Now you might say, okay, everything looks great. I'm loving the way this is looking. This is perfect. Now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna sign this out. I'm gonna sign a HootPhish out. You sign a HootPhish out, it's gonna be that positive reinforcement training, right? You're gonna select who you want to assign it to, what tenant. It pre-selects the one that you're currently on, so you leave that there. And you can change it, of course, but you're doing this specific one, so leave it. And then the settings, is it required to take this or not? I make them all required. Minimum score, training name, I don't know, AWS test, I don't know. AWS training, do it like that. This is a training, not a test. Who you want to assign it to? All your users or poor Carl? I'm going after Carl today. All right, when you want to start and go out, how long does it last for, and a window. Once you do that, you review, you hit that save button. Now you've assigned it over to the poor Carl group, and Carl's going to get a training. You say, well, I want to be a fish test. Okay, cool, let's do a fish test, or a attack fish. So we do assign an attack fish from your current template. Select who you want to assign it to, hit next, it selects your template automatically. Campaign settings, what groups you want to go to. Again, I chose a different one. I'll just go to all my users to get this one. And look here, this is very important. Auto-assign trainings. Of course, we want to make sure, at least if they click the link, we're going to automatically assign to them a video for them to watch. And then lastly, we're going to assign them the HootPhish that matches this attack fish. They'll get walked through what they just got wrong, and they'll learn from it immediately. Much more positive experience. Now, report settings. Where do you want your reports to go? Maybe I'll send reports just to me. Maybe our support, maybe our CEO at CyberHoot. don't think that's a real email address, but that's what I'm putting in. And then you hit next, you review that, you hit that save, boom. Now you've assigned a fish out, an attack fish out. So super, super simple to add in these attack fish. Of course, you have to have a plan, right? You want to have a plan for what type of thing you want to do. Know your department, know who you're targeting for the testing. Create something real, put in those indicators. You get a positive thing, you get the attack fish, you get the positive HootPhish training, you get the testing through attack fish that's custom to your environment. Win, win, win. All right. So now I'm going to stop this for a second and I'm going to head back over to our slides. So let's remove this. Let's add back and boom, just like that. Super simple. You've built a custom fish smarter than your average spammer. But hold on. Before we open the floor, let's dive into this code, this week's nerd update, right? Because the devs have been hooting and coding, so we want to see what they've been up to. All right, nerds, let's peek under the hood, and this week's updates are spicy. So I mentioned before, the custom fish, we just talked about it, is officially an autopilot. As you've seen, you can now create your own phishing templates, assign them like a boss, and track who clicks what. It's phishing on steroids. It's awesome. Next, our APIs for days. We've added endpoints to preview welcome emails, to create custom fish, and make your automation life a whole lot smoother. So developers out there, rejoice and stop yelling at us on Slack. Don't want to hear it. That's okay. Next, welcome email facelift. We've cleaned up the old image-heavy welcome emails that, now we've streamlined the logic with them, and we've made it easier to preview what's going out. So we got a lot less bloat and a lot more clarity. Then UI upgrades galore. Drop downs don't freak out anymore, right? Language selectors have, they behave like well-trained interns, like they should be, right? And that assign all videos that feature an autopilot, it's now crystal clear on how everything works. And then, of course, metrics. Love metrics. We had a partner who was doing a HootPhish challenge. He put together like this metric board for his bosses, so he could show it to them and convince them that cybersecurity training is the way to go and CyberHoot is the way to go. I love this metric so much. I said, hey, can I steal those metrics and put them into our platforms? Because they're really good and they're better than what we have. And that's what we did. So I want to show you real fast, that our HootPhish challenge results page just got this glow up. There's more data, there's better design, and fewer reasons to cry, into your compliance report. So let me show you real fast these metrics. I'm going to add this back to the board, remove this, add back to the stage. I'm going to come over to here, check out this HootPhish board. Boom, fish challenge and result. We know how many unique players actually played. How many games were played total? How many games per player? What was the average time spent playing? What was the average score and the average best score? And then you can see here how we've got what's the scores and then how many users across the board. So you can see like this user, this user, here's one user, two users, this user took it 2 times, this user took it 3 times, so forth. And when this board starts getting more and more numbers in there, you can really see that dot matrix thing kind of fill up. It's pretty awesome looking. I love these metrics. It gives you more information around what's played, how many people actually met the challenge. Look, I didn't even see that earlier. That's awesome, right? How many people actually scored 100% at least once on any attempt? So really, 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 really awesome. Love the new metrics board there. And we're putting more and more metrics into our platform as well. All right, back to the stage. All right. Oh, and I don't want to forget that we did some behind the scenes magic. We're always working, doing behind the scenes magic. So we squashed some bugs, we've optimized some queries, and added admin logging so you can track what's happening and who made it happen, right? So whether you're building the perfect fish, previewing emails like a control freak, or just living your best admin life, we've got your back. And we're doing a little long day. I'm going to go through this very, very fast, try to keep up, all right? Now, you've seen the power, you've seen the process, but maybe you still have some questions. Let's hop into our Q&A. But first, of course, send that send the hashtag customfish10 to shoothoot@cyberhoot.com, and we'll give you 10% off. All you have to do is type it in, click send, and get that 10. If you're watching, if you're not watching live, no problem. Email us anyway. I'll probably hook you up. All right. Now let's go over to our Q&A. All right, the floor is open. We're gonna go through this fast. You've got some burning questions about custom phishing, training tactics, or how to send a fake email without losing real friends. Now's the time to ask. We're here, we're listening, and no question is too niche, nerdy, or oddly specific. But hey, if you're shy, still caffeinating, or pretending your camera's broken, no worries. I've got some of the top questions we usually get around custom phishing here. So questions, let's go. All right, let's see here. All right. Question 1. How real is too real when it comes to building Phish? So, okay. So your goal is to simulate threats, not spark panic. we recommend mimicking real email styles, but avoid those sensitive triggers like HR terminations or fake payroll issues. Not good. So I would do this. If you wouldn't laugh about this at lunch, then maybe you don't put it in an actual test, right? So don't do it in a test or training. All right, question 2, keep it moving. All right, can I match Phish tests to my industry's common scams? Faux show, 100%. That's magic. That's the magic of custom hoots. Financial firms can simulate invoice fraud. Healthcare teams can spoof patient portals. Whatever your real threats look like, you can replicate and reinforce against them. Remember, relevance equals retention. All right, next question. How do I follow up after someone clicks a custom phish? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, super simple. CyberHoot Autopilot does all the work for you. It can auto-assign a phishing training video and the HootPhish that match the type of attack fish they just missed or messed up. So, but there's no shaming. It's just smart, immediate reinforcement to build better habits. Right? You know, the questions, I know I'm moving super fast right now, so I got it done before 4 minutes. Let's try. Let's go right into, before we wrap these things up, of course, let's shift the gears from our questions and go over to our story here. Nothing drives lesson home like a real world horror story, right? That starts with a click and ends with some chaos. So buckle up. This one's a doozy. Let's go. All right. This one is real and painfully relatable. Picture this, a busy property management firm in New York City handling luxury high-end buildings. They're collecting payments, routine stuff really, until one email arrives. It looks perfectly legitimate. It appears to be from the Battery Park City Authority, a trusted partner. It has the right language, the right tone, and even the right kind of urgency. So the team does what they normally do. They process the wire request. But here's the twist. The email wasn't real. It was a phishing scam designed to mimic a routine billing request. And because it looked so believable, the companies transferred nearly $19 million into what they thought was the authority's TD bank account. Instead, the funds went straight into cyber criminals' hands. Over $19 million lost, not because the code was unbreakable, not because the firewalls failed, but because one well-crafted email looked normal. For the criminals, that's a great day around the fishing pond, right? So the Department of Homeland Security is now investigating, and the message from this mess is super clear. When your threat model isn't real, neither is your defense. Context matter. Realistic training matters. And yes, knowing how to spot the difference between a real and a really scary good emails matter even more. So, phew. Now, if that story didn't make you double check your inbox, I don't know what will. But now let's bring this owl flight in for a landing and wrap up today's episode. We talked about building smarter, more relevant phish tests because your organization deserves more than generic scare tactics. You've got real threats and now real tools to fight them with confidence. So you've got custom training now, context-driven phish tests, and you have a team that's getting sharper with every single click. So if you like today's episode, do us and your fellow humans a favor, like it, share it with your team, your IT friends, your cousin who still clicks on those congrats, you've won emails. And make sure you've subscribed to, so you never miss the next laugh-worthy lesson-packed session. So next week, we got another hoot in the making. Until then, laugh, learn, and hoot up. Hoot up!